start again. Our second round. And Renata, you gotta get going, right? So we're gonna start with you, and then we'll go with Jackie, then Millie, and then Cole. And after Cole was Mike. And then Dan, then Jake,
Sure.
and then Dan.
Sure.
Okay, so everyone, welcome to the stage, Renata.
Okay, so since I got you warmed up last time, I'm going to just read another excerpt from Horror Stories from Here. And I'll just remind you that horror stories are subjective. So this one's called Two People Without Uteri Discuss. Okay, I have to actually be the two people to make it clear. Okay. So the narrative around pregnancy is kind of negative now. Like, girls don't really want to do it because it'll ruin their body and whatever. But we're all here because someone went through it. I'm here because my mom went through it. I kind of think it's like selfish, you know, for women not to want to do that right now. Like, did you hear about the statistic in the news recently? Like, did you hear this, that we've hit a point where the reproductive rate is like declining? What are we gonna do now? Like, market it as like the best thing ever, pregnancy? Well, it's not like the best for every environment. That's why Hitler exterminated the Jews. Because of the environment? And as population control. Did you talk to Jasmine about it? We did, and it was so weird. She was like, I feel like I'm at a crossroad right now, and my body is telling me to go. That's so cryptic, man. Do you know what sign she is? I feel like she was born in, well, her sign is Earth, so maybe like a Taurus? Yeah, I can't think of it. She definitely told me. You know what she said to me? I only date guys who are older than 35. You're 26. Yeah, I know, right? She told me a bunch of things. It didn't turn out weird, but you could ask her if she wants to be friends. Yeah, I guess. The guy checks his phone. Jen says, yeah, cool. I didn't even know you texted her. Wait, did you ask her specifically about Carly and Jim? Wait, is Joe bringing his wife? We already know that Emily's on Team Jen. Oh yeah, for sure, because of the breakup. Wait, what happened with Jim? He was criminally charged for fraud or something? What did he do? He's a realtor? Or something? Shit. No. Jen said Carly and Jim aren't coming. It'd be too awkward. Because Joe's bringing his wife? Yeah, did I tell you about my date with Jasmine? Dude, are you actually dating her? She's pretty, wild. We went out in Toronto. That's where she lives. And, I go down there and then usually drive back, and she never lets me come up. Yeah. So we went out to a bar, and I wasn't counting how many drinks she was having or anything. I think maybe 4. But she's tiny, so she got so wasted. So we left the bar at 1, and then there was a fairly long walk to her place. But she had to go, so wasted. She had to go, so she pulled down her pants right there and peed. We were in the middle of Trinity Bell Woods, in the park. I don't want to be whatever, but she just dropped her pants right there. That's wild, man. Wild. So when we got to her place, I was so tired. Did she let you come up? She was no, she wouldn't let me come up. I was can I just have 2 hours to close my eyes and sit on your couch? I wasn't gonna do anything with her. Yeah, no, fair. But she wouldn't. I don't know if she has a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. So what did you do? Well, I took $150 Uber back to my place. Dude, you could have had such a good night for that money. Yeah, like, I like her. This is like the sixth time we've hung out, but like, I don't like her that much. So, were you gonna keep seeing her? Yeah, I'll probably ask her out to Jen's. That's it. So this was a conversation I overheard at a cafe once, and it was, to me, pretty terrifying.
Renata Ona, everyone. Can you stay till 10 or you have to take off now?
I'll stay for a little bit longer.
Okay. So, Jackie, will you come up?
Sure.
Wonderful. Everyone,
I'm not
Cole's friend, Jackie, the flutist.
Flautist. I'm not a comedian by any, like, I play the flute. So I'm gonna tell you a story. To start the story, I have a bird. He is just a tiny little parrot. He's a green cheek conure. He babbles a bit, he speaks a little bit. This bird is my best friend in the whole world. I don't care if you think I'm a loser, I love this bird. Basically, he's on my shoulder as we do. I'm sitting playing Xbox, doing my thing, and I go, hey Google, play my music. Thinking it's gonna leave off somewhere. It starts blaring as loud as it can, hot for teacher. I jumped, I'm startled, I jumped. My bird can't fly very well. So he's flying, he's in circles. I'm trying to find my phone. My phone isn't turning off. My bird is flying in a circle above my head, screaming. I'm trying to catch him. I've jumped up on my bed at this point and reach up, finally get him. This whole time my friend on Xbox is laughing his ass off. He's like, what the fuck could be going on right now? Like, my bird tried to attack me. So, traumatized the little guy. Felt bad. He's alright. Later on, doing my thing, he's on my shoulder still. I go to the washroom. He's still on my shoulder. I don't care. I was home alone. I go to the washroom, flush the toilet, put my phone on the counter, lean over, washing my hands. He's on my shoulder. My phone is right here. The toilet is right here. He goes. He throws my phone in the toilet. I don't know why. I'm sitting there in disbelief. I lean over, grab it. This fucker starts laughing. Yeah, parents, they can laugh. He knew what he did. He went back in his cage. We're not talking right now. This was literally yesterday. My bird threw my fucking phone in the toilet. I told my dad and he didn't believe me. Why would you? My phone weighs more than the bird. And that's Mango. That's all. I just thought I would tell a story about Mango.
Wonderful. Jackie, everyone. Wow, storytelling. See? That was entertaining nothing.
I did sanitize my phone. That did happen.
Yeah, it'll still work.
And next up, she's been quiet in the shadows over there, operating the multicam system. And she's willing to come up. Everyone, Millie.
Hello everyone. So sorry for my English, I'm French. Even though I've been living in Toronto for 12 years, I still think in French. So I'm not a comedian either, and I'm a spiritual teacher. So I deal with ghosts, I deal with unborn babies, and stuff like that. And talking about earlier, about, what's the name of that again? You were talking about it. I forgot. Like, about how the world works, basically, how the fact that perhaps we are in the matrix. My job is about helping people. Sorry?
Simulation theory?
No, it's
Consciousness? Consciousness?
Not consciousness.
Quantum physics?
No.
The universe?
Quantum physics.
The universe?
Not the universe. It's another word I'm looking for, but that's okay. Whatever. So basically, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and my job is about helping people to realize they're creating their realities all the time. So if you observe your life since you were a child, you will realize most of the things you thought back then have been true over the years. But you have to be observant. Because why people don't know that, it's because they don't observe. So observe your life and you will realize that you're creating with your thoughts, with your emotions, and that's the life you have. So I would talk about ghosts. So basically I lost my grandmother, the one who raised me, a year ago. But I learned about it a month ago. I knew she was dead because she came to see me and she told me, I'm not here anymore. We had a talk. And when she said that, I went on internet because there is family issues. She wasn't my blood grandmother. She was the mother of my stepdad. And since my mom passed away, my stepdad doesn't talk to me anymore. So she came, she said, well, I'm not here anymore. And she told me a few things and we talked. And I went on internet to see if she was dead, and I didn't find her. And 1 month ago, I woke up and I tapped her name on internet and I found that she was dead 1 year ago, exactly day for day. And that's when I saw her 1 year ago in my dreams. So when you dream about dead people, most of the time they came to see you. It's not just a dream. We never just dream. Our dream is about astral travel most of the time. Or it's about also the thing we have to deal with during the day, and we got some solution from our dreams. But as we are spiritual beings, we travel in other world, other dimension and everything like that. So I'm gonna stop here and just let you with the fact that your life is way more that you are aware of. Just be observant and you will see a lot more than just being a human. Thank you.
Millie, everyone.
That was beautiful.
Millie's my wife.
Yeah.
I know all those stories, and I'm less scared of dead people. We have Cole up next, then Gabby, and then until the next intermission. So, Cole, you have more stuff?
Yeah.
Did you come up with new stuff while you were here? Renata, thank you for your time. See you again.
We got some new stuff.
New stuff. Excellent. Come up. Everyone, Cole.
Yeah. All right, it's good to be back. Last time you saw me, I was in the same outfit. Nothing's changed. I've learned a lot tonight. I really like it here. Everyone is very lovely. I've learned that everyone should do mushrooms at least once. That's how this place was birthed, I'm sure. And you know what? Look how it turned out. It's great. I've done psychedelics a few times. I really like them. Maybe a bit too much, but ever since I've had a few bad trips in my time, and it's really taught me how to identify when other people are on drugs a bit more. You can always tell in Hamilton, they have a faded pose. I call it the Hamiltonian pose. It kind of looks something like this. If you've ever been around town, they're pretty much, or like the bus pose, they get a lot lower with that. They get really into it when they're on the bus. It's crazy posture that I never thought one human could make, especially since like I sit all day and my back's out. Like I feel like it half the time. So you really blend in. But I think it's great. Not fentanyl, just psychedelics. Let's keep it to that. I think like the thing is with drugs is that they really do open your mind to a bit of a like sometimes a bit of a scary place, because I've been in my fair share of like, I think the worst one I've ever had is I struggle to talk to my own parents at times, so I tend to talk to my friends' parents while super high on mushrooms in tears on their couch watching hockey games. And that's something that gets you through every problem you have in your life. Like you don't need a degree to be a therapist. You need psychedelics. That's what I'm hiding behind the ruse of stand-up comedy here. I'm not smart. Don't take this outside of this room. I'm not giving advice. I eavesdrop on conversations because my knowledge comes from my own brain on mushrooms, so I don't have anything to give to the conversation. I'm just listening. It's great. I wanted to come up because it's weird, I'm young, but my parents want me home in like 30 minutes, so I wanted to get a couple cracks out before I left. But you'll be happy to know that I think they're going to be fans of everybody here. Everybody seems great. I hope everybody keeps coming out as time moves on. Here's to bullshitting.
Thank you, Cole. Round of applause for Cole, everyone. He has a curfew. Wonderful. You're actually advanced for taking psychedelics. Everyone knows that? Yes? That's your schooling. That's your proper education. Next on the list is Gabby.
Hello. I forgot to tell you 3 of my new jokes, so I'll tell you those. And then I'll tell you a story, but you can pick it, because, like, who knows what story you want to hear, you know what I mean? Also, I had to comment on mushrooms. I feel like mushrooms are like melted acid. So I think acid is the superior, but it's got a scarier sounding name. Anyway, I have 3 little jokes. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a movie called The Demon Seed.
Yeah.
It's very scary. It's a sci-fi movie I saw when I was 11.
Right.
And so my generation, we were not really under a lot of rules. It was just like watch anything on TV, stay up late. So it's basically a movie where a house it's like a computer house, and it becomes self-aware and decides to rape a lady, which when you're an 11-year-old girl, it's like a whole journey of discovery. And so I recently started driving last summer, and sometimes when I go to get it to my house, I get my car key out and I click it, because I don't know, I'm old. And then I remember, like, you can't have like a computer house because it'll rape you, so. Okay, I have another one about, I was thinking about, sometimes you look at the sky and you see like a little plane, and it leaves like a skinny cloud, and it's like a little smoke, and then it turns into a cloud, right? So my friends are having a debate whether or not that's like a chemtrail or not. People are saying, no, it's just a plane, it's just going by. And other people say, no, the chemtrails are controlling the weather, and I don't know. So my friend has said, no, this is definitely a conspiracy theory, you don't have to worry about it. And I thought, oh, great. I love not worrying about things. So I thought, what if I applied that philosophy to like anything I don't like? So I live downtown, I see a lot of homeless people, and I decided that that's a conspiracy theory. So when I see them, I'm gonna think something else. So I saw, a group of gathering folks, and actually sometimes they're bent over, as we described. I was thinking it's kind of like a sad candy cane, but yeah, so I decided that the homeless are just like in a punk band. They're just teenagers in a punk band. They're not really homeless. They're gonna go home and rock out. And that really helped me. So if you don't like anything in your life, just conspiracy theory, it's not real. And I have a third thing to say about smoking. I used to smoke, but I was not a very committed smoker. I only smoked at work to get breaks, because some jobs you can never take a break unless you smoke a cigarette. But much like the things I did at work, like smiling at others and being nice, it's really something I could leave at work and not take back home with me. Okay, so my stories that you can shout out which one you want to hear. I was in an earthquake when I was a kid. It was an 8.5, it's really big. I was born due to medical error. Not all immigrant stories are good. This one's called Nice Head, if anybody knows what that means. It's a story about how I learned English in 1999. There's a story about how I realized I was good at drawing. And that's it, yeah, so earthquake, medical error, nice head.
That's interesting.
Okay, so does anybody know what nice head means?
Numerous definition. Is it a euphemism?
No, it's when your buddy says, hey, did you hear about, we should go to the movies to watch Terminator, and you go, nice head. It means like you're an idiot. No?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's, I was thinking about a nice head, because that's what, I moved to 1989, and I was in grade 7. So I learned English from watching much music. Also from listening to English bands. I used to listen to The Cure and The Smiths. I used to read the lyrics and, try to learn this stuff. And also I learned from my peers. At some point I realized, I got my accent from the kids at Dillwood, where I went to school. And I was thinking about nice head, and I thought, I'm gonna Google that. And it turns out that nice head is only slang in Hamilton, Ontario. It is our own creation. It's in the Urban Dictionary, and it says a slang of Hamilton, Ontario. So yeah, listening to the Smiths especially really didn't help me at school that much, because I learned a lot of really long words that no one understood. I was playing hangman with my friend who was from Hungary, and I didn't have a lot of words because I barely spoke English. So I remember a song had this word which was wunderkind. But it's really like Wunderkind, I don't know, it's German. But it's like Wunderkind with a U. And so my friend said this is not a word, because wonder is a word, and kind is a word, but Wunderkind is not a word. So yeah, it was very hard to figure out what words were helpful in grade 7. Certainly not looking glass. I had a really hard time saying the word mirror, because it's like one syllable to 2 syllables. My first language is Spanish, so it's nothing like Spanish. So I knew that Alice had gone through Looking Glass, and I also knew a few songs that were English, and I said Looking Glass because they're new wave or whatever. So yeah, Looking Glass did not work with grade 7 students of 1989. No one says that. We only say mirror. Hang on a second. Oh, does anybody remember old Much Music? Did you guys grow up watching Much Music?
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a show called Test Pattern, where they used to like spin a person in a wheel. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, anyway, so that was my nice head story. It doesn't really have any. There's nothing else. Thanks.
Thank you, Gabby. Gabby, everyone. Nice head. That's a Hamilton. I want to remember that.
Nice head.
Means stupid?
It's like a way of saying like it's a bad idea,
Bad
but it's like it should be like nice brain, but it's a nice head. It's really good.
Jake, did you remember hearing that?
Yeah, I hadn't heard it in so long. But yeah, we would use it like, yeah, right, or whatever. Like,
Nice hat.
Yeah, it's a
Great
dismissal.
idea.
Like, yeah,
that's
like-
sarcastically.
It's like a nicer way of calling your friend like retarded, which
Yeah.
we did a little later, but this is in grade 7,
It's
so.
floating back to me.
Nice head.
Gotta bring that back, guys. And then you two will spread it to the younger generation. Nice head. You don't know what nice head means?
Bring it back.
Oh my God. Nice head. Okay. Next up is Mike.
Mike.
Everyone, Mike.
Challenge accepted. You're talking about ghosts?
Yes.
Ghosts are frightening, but some things are haunting. You want an example?
Sure.
So I got mugged in a cab in Toronto once. In a cab. I was leaving a party at around 3 in the morning in a not particularly great area, and I realized that there were a lot of guys standing around, a lot of really pale, weedy looking guys, just hanging out. And one of them came up to me and asked me if I wanted to buy some hash. I said, thank you, no. And then there were a lot of guys kind of getting around me to try to sell me something or take my money without actually selling me anything. So I got in a cab. The cab was going up Jarvis Street in Toronto. And all of a sudden, we hear these two women screaming at the top of their lungs, chasing after the cab, waving their arms. So the cabbie stops. The women jump in the car, left and right side. I'm in the back seat. I'm now between them. And they're saying, we're going to have a party. We're going to have a party tonight. We're going to have a party. Hey, dude, you're going to have a party. Hey, let me see what you got. And puts her hand on my crotch. So I bend over like this, and I'm saying, thank you, no, I don't need a party. Don't do this. And they're grabbing me, and it's loud, and they're yelling, and the driver's trying to drive. And I reach my wallet and notice it's gone. And then they start screaming again, and they open the door of the moving cab, which is around 30 kilometers an hour, and they jump out of the cab.
What?
So I'm sitting there, kind of dazed. The cabbie pulls over. My wallet is back on the seat without its cash. Because if you get caught with credit cards, you get in big trouble. Cash, who cares? We sat there and stared at each other, and finally he said, I'll just take you home. That was delightful. And it was frightening, but I don't dwell on it because it's over. And I knew why it happened. You know, find a sucker, scream, make a lot of fuss, grab the money, take off. It's a very black and white situation. I know why it happened. It doesn't haunt me. You want something that does?
Yes.
This is a true story. I was around 17 years old. It was around February, so it's cold and miserable in Toronto. I live in North York, which is like the north side of the city. And it's around 10 o'clock, and I get a phone call, which is a bit late for most of my friends. I pick it up, and somebody says, "Hi, is this Michael?" Yeah, it's me. "This is Rachel. I met you at Dave and Pete's barbecue." Okay, well, I know David and Pete, and they had parties. I don't remember a barbecue, but I knew those names. I said, "Oh, okay, hi. How'd you get my number?" She said, "Do you still live close to St. Andrews?" That was my junior high. Okay, yeah, I did. I said yes, and she said, "Oh, do you like to party? Because I'm downtown tonight, and maybe we could party." Okay, this is weird. It's late enough at night, I'm not really thinking about it. And we make some small talk. At one point she says, "Do you like to get high, Mike? Because we could get high." I'm like, "No, I don't know. How'd you get my number?" And then she said, "We could go downtown. We could have sex." In those words. And I start laughing. Okay, this is a joke. I mean, one of my moron friends is behind this, and he's gotten his girlfriend or his sister or something to make the call. And I'm listening really carefully, but I don't hear anything in the background. Like, I don't hear my moron friends giggling. It's quiet. I mean, I don't even hear street noises or a fan or a TV or nothing. I'm not going to go meet this woman. But I'm kind of curious as to what she's going to do. So I said, where do you want to meet? And she said, "Do you know the fountain, the Eaton Center? Yeah, it's right downtown, I do it. I said, yeah, and she said, you can meet me at the lockers. Okay. This is not going to make sense unless you grew up in Toronto, but this is where the story got scary for me. They've renovated the Eaton Center a dozen times since the 1980s, but at one point, there was this hallway that was full of lockers and full of payphones. And there was a dead end at the end of it. I mean, tourists would always walk thinking it would take them to Yonge Street, and they'd have to turn around. So I know where she wants me to go. And I said, well, don't you just want to meet at the fountain? And she said, just the lockers, okay? So this woman I don't know, who I can't identify, at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night has just invited me into a well-lit, climate-controlled, blind alley. And I'm sure it's a friend of mine making a joke, and I'm trying to catch up to this. And again, she says, we could have sex, Michael. I'm laughing and I'm nervous, and I finally said, you know what? I've got homework tonight. And that's the only time she almost broke character. She said, you've got homework? I said, yeah. Maybe you call me another time. Okay. Goodbye, Michael. I said, bye, Rachel. Held the phone, and she never hung up. I was there for like a minute, waiting for her to hang up, and finally I hung up. Okay. I go to school the next week. I dig up Pete and I dig up Dave and say, what the hell? Dave was at his cottage. His brother backed it up. He didn't do it. Pete did not have that much of a sense of humor or imagination to do this. So it was somebody else, right? And it was some other friend of mine who probably were downtown with some girl. They made the call from a paid phone. They wanted me to go downtown, wearing my cool jeans, expecting some action. I'd walk into the hallway, they'd see me, they'd laugh their head off, and we'd go play video games until 2 in the morning and take a bus home. I can see that. But the other alternative was that maybe it was someone who wanted me to get downtown and was not friendly and would do something unpleasant to me. I don't know who would do that. And I mention this because it haunts me. I mean, it was a prank, right? It's got to have been a prank. Somebody set it up, the joke didn't land, and they never admitted to it. But I talked about it for years. I would ask people about it for years. The only reason I stopped, I think I was in university, because somebody said, Mike thinks he avoided an assassination attempt because some girl tried to hook up with him once. I don't know what happened, but for the record, I'm over 50 and I still have nightmares about that hallway. And it's not like I walk past it in the dream and something reaches out, pulls me in to rape or murder me. But it's there. It shows up in a bad dream. I've gotten close to it, and when it's there, I know that something's going wrong. Once or twice, I have been dragged into it, but the shock wakes me up. So you want to tell me that this is some kind of ghost? I don't think I can believe you. The rational part of me can't believe you. The rational part of me wants to accept the fact that there is a 99.9% chance that some friend of mine tried to do this, it didn't work, it never mentioned it. I love that alternative. You tell me that, I'll be a very happy man. Because the other alternative is to realize that somebody I can't identify knew my name, my phone number, knew where I lived, maybe knew one or two of my friends, and invited me someplace I couldn't get out of late enough at night that nobody would hear what happened. It never goes away. Thanks for your time. Good night.
Michael Dorbecker, everyone. We have 2 actual, genuine, real audience members. Yes. All I saw was this through the window, and I saw 2 people just going, what is going on? And I said, please come in. So we are happy that you're here. My name is Dexter. I'm your host for tonight. And we're doing a round robin. The next act is Jake Jenk, everyone.
Thank you, Dexter. I'm excited.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks, Lexi. Yeah, this is great. I get a second chance here. Excellent. New people, thank you for visiting. I don't know if you know anything about this place at all, but it's called the Center for Talking Arts. I can't see you, so I'll just assume you're nodding along. Yeah. All right, great. So it's a place where you'll find different talking arts, like comedy is the one that everybody is familiar with, but then, we have storytelling, we have poetry, we have, I don't know, sometimes I call it preaching, just talk about what you want to talk about. Bullshitting is a talking art. My thing is that I like to improvise it, and but there's a few things that I always come back to, and a lot of the things that I like to talk about often involves the self. I don't know if I'm self-involved, but I like to talk about the self as much as myself. But when you talk about yourself, you often end up talking about the self. And psychedelics has come up a few times here, and it's true. I'm not currently on psychedelics, but I have been a lot, and mainly not until my 40s. To be honest, I just kind of really wanted to avoid them growing up because I felt like I would be really attracted to them. I really needed to stay away from it until I could be ready, whatever that was, and I felt like I was ready, and. A lot of interesting things have happened in my life since then. It's not like it was just a dramatic difference, but I have noted that, retroactively, in retrospect, I think about how I've changed over time recently, over the last 2 decades. It looks like it coincided with, whether or not it was responsible for it, but it coincided with some of my psychedelic experiences that I've had. And it got me thinking even more about the self. And I was just one of these morose kids that would just sit around and think about strange things and absurd things. And that's why I became a philosopher. I'm literally trained as a philosopher. I got my master's degree in philosophy. I started my PhD, didn't finish it because I could never really decide on what my thesis was going to be. I did a bunch of coursework and everything, but I talked and thought a lot about the self. And what I've discovered, and psychedelics has kind of brought my attention more to it, was that, and you may experience the same thing, that I'm not one entity. Like, there's a lot going on that you don't necessarily pay attention to until you pay attention to it. And admittedly, sometimes paying attention to that too much can drive you crazy. And it has. To a lot of people, and I was just thought growing up I was just going to go crazy, whatever that meant. I felt like, well, clearly I'm just thinking about all these things about how big the universe is and how small it is, and how everything on scale is absurd, and what the fuck is going on anyway? All that stuff. And I realized that there's a lot going on inside the self. There are various forces at play. And over time, I've come to think of this as like cyclones, like storms, We have various storms within us that kind of come together to be us. So some of these storms are based in the body, like your drive for hunger, your sex, involvement with others. That's a big one. Humans like to be around others. All of these things are kind of like body systems that are at play. And some of them combine with your mind systems. And this is kind of the abstract level layer that we have. And there's always been throughout, any kind of inquiry into this, there's always been this bifurcation. We always talk about, you see many examples of it, the left brain, the right brain, the conscious, unconscious, the abstract, the concrete. And I used to think that was kind of simplistic, but there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of things in us that are based in the body, that are physical systems. And there's a lot of things in us that are based in just ideas that play against each other. But these abstract symbols that are represented in our body through these neurons and movements, but it's the ideas themselves. It's these things that we talk to each other about.
these symbols that we've just passed on to each other through moving air. It's weird, right? We talked about this. The self, and I guess we're all kind of involved here when you take, pick up a microphone, you're talking about yourself in some sense. Even when you're not talking about yourself, you're revealing something about yourself. I'm just very thankful that we have this space. I'm glad that even with this small crowd, it's been great. It's been a great night. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be a slow build. I think we're going to get there. And I think we're off to a great start. So thanks again. I'm going to just bring up Dan next. All right.
Thank you so much, Jake. Well, Mike never did meet me at that locker room.
I'm so sorry, dude.
That's all right. I have a pretty good female voice when I want to put it on. There's been a lot of phrases this evening. And I feel as though now I know where the phrase "gift of the gab" comes from. I'm talking to you, Gabby. Nice head. Gabby mentioned, you guys just came in, I think Gabby had already gone and done her second performance, I guess that's what it's called, up here when we perform. And she talked about a phrase that's a Hamiltonian phrase. Are you guys from Hamilton?
No.
Where are you from?
Toronto.
I feel like if you're really from Toronto, like there's less consonants in the word. Like it's just Toronto. It's just like 2 syllables, Toronto. And then people from Hamilton, or like as you go out west, they say Toronto. Toronto. Yes, indeed. No, she had a thing that she mentioned. It was a phrase that's a Hamiltonian phrase known as nice head. And I guess nice head is like saying you're dumb. It's actually like the opposite of nice head. It's like you don't have a nice brain. You said something that was stupid. But I thought nice head meant something totally different. And now I feel really bad about like all the times that I've said that in the bedroom. I feel like I was really disappointing the person. I said that a number of times. And sometimes it wasn't even nice, but you don't want to, you want to encourage people, right? You're encouraging. Anyways, let's see, what else? Okay, so I want to let you guys know you're in a really special place, and I'm glad that you guys were able to come. It's a quiet night. Last weekend was packed in here. Like it was a really packed room, and it went on for the whole night. And this is a very safe space. It really does feel that way. There's poetry that goes on. There's people that read about their journals. There's people who do a lot of comedy, which is great. I do a little bit of comedy myself. But this is most of all, fundamentally, I think it's a safe space. And so anything that anybody says up here when they're talking, take it with your heart, but also maybe take it with a grain of salt. There are comedians up here at times, and so sometimes we're not necessarily being serious, okay? But with that being said, I feel as though I should say that if anyone ever has been sexually abused in their life, that's a terrible thing. I think that whether that's been done by, like people who've been sexually abused by a relative, people who have been sexually abused by a partner, or even if it was someone out in Hamilton recently, I want to let you know there's a lot of people who look just like me. And you're not going to prove anything. There's lots of beauty, and I always wear a condom. I always wear a latex condom. My father taught me well. While we're on that train of thought, shall we say, I'm sure everybody knows that the Jeffrey Epstein documents have been released recently, maybe 4 months ago, I don't know. These documents have been released, and it was all over the news, all over the mainstream media. And they reveal some of the heinous acts and some of the terrible, atrocious individuals that were involved in these acts at Jeffrey Epstein's island, at his mansion in New York City, and I'm sure at numerous other places. And when I first read about these and looked through the list, I was shocked I was frustrated. I was angry. But in a way, I was very relieved. I was very relieved because thank God I wasn't on any of these documents. I'm so glad. Okay, all right, tough crowd. There was somebody that I was very surprised about was on the Jeffrey Epstein list. Who do you think was the most surprising? Nobody knows the Jeffrey Epstein list. I didn't follow it as much as me. Stephen Hawking was on the Jeffrey Epstein list. He was at the island, the Jeffrey Epstein Island. I don't know what to say about Stephen Hawking. I feel as though I don't think he raped anybody because I don't think he touched a single girl. I mean, right? It would be pretty tough, right? Would have been tough for him. Anyways, I was driving home one day recently, and I was stopped at a red light, and there was a guy right beside me at this red light. He was in a red Camaro. He was wearing a white shirt, like a chain, may have been Italian, I don't know. And he was revving his engine. And he was revving that engine hard, like this thing was a V8. He was going hard. And I looked to the side of me, and I looked at what I was driving, and I just thought, like, I'm a pool technician. I'm driving like a rusty white van. Like, if anybody I'm going to be chasing, it's going to be a 12-year-old boy. Like, I'm kidding. It would be 12-year-old girls. Yes. I think we live in a crazy world. When we did speak about that, earlier, when you guys didn't have the pleasure of seeing some of the other acts, we live in a really crazy world. And I find, it's getting crazy when what's his name? Alex Jones starts making a lot of sense. You guys know Alex Jones? Yep. Oh my God! Like some things that he says are actually true, and like it makes you really think. But we do live in a crazy world, and I find that sometimes it's that people are either policing you and accusing you of things, or they're patronizing you, and so it's that distinction. And I'll give you an example. Like if I ever open my mouth when I'm talking to my brother Jake. He's a West Coaster, and whenever I open my mouth, he says, Dan, you are an insensitive, racist, misogynistic bastard. You're an insensitive, racist, misogynistic bastard. Don't say another word. And I'm shocked, and I take a breath. I try not to get angry. And I say, Jake, our parents were married when they had me. I'm not a bastard. That's it. That's all I've got. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Dan Stewart, everyone. Wow. You're great at covering the whole spectrum.
Oh, thank you.
Both serious, philosophical, and then goofy pedophile jokes. Okay. So, guys, I know you're nice and safe down there. You have the fortune of coming up on stage because obviously it's less intimidating with only a few people. Like Dan said, we are very supportive and open as a space, and it would strictly be for the fact of knowing that you don't know what to say immediately. Or you might have a little thing that you want to share and see where it goes. But you are welcome, and that can be a story that you can walk away with. I went up on stage.
She's in.
Yes!
Is it really recorded?
Yes, there are 3 cameras here, and we have our switcher, Millie over here. Your name? Hillary. Dexter? Nice to meet everyone. Hillary!
You were joking that you can't see anyone from here. We're like in a black hole back there. Okay, the only thing I can think of,
and Mark's heard this story like many, many times, but that may be amusing, maybe for other people to hear, is a friend of mine runs a clothing swap. Have any of you guys ever been to a clothing swap? You know, but like because you get tired of your own stuff, even though it's perfectly fine. So but I didn't know a lot of the people there. So I invited my sister. I said, "Let's go. We'll go to this thing. We'll get some new clothes for free. It'll be fabulous." And we go, and then there's a lot of cooler people there than us. So they have like way better clothes than we have. And we're just like sliding under the radar with our own like contributions. So that's more like, it's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. And there's this like fine line, right? Because you don't really know anybody, but they'll try something on. That's the whole premise of a clothing swap, is like they go and they try something on, and then they're like, well, like, do you think, like, does this cool clothes work on me? Because it really worked on her, but maybe it doesn't, maybe it's not the same. And so that happens for a bit, and then you like start to warm up to people where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, like no, it just like, no, it doesn't work for you. Like I think that one did, but that one doesn't. So this went on, we've started to feel more comfortable, and as you know, here's my friend who's hosting, and her friend tries something on, and she says like, what do you think? To my sister and I, and we're like, yeah, you know, I think it works for you actually. I think you should take that one. I think you should bring it home. She's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that looks really great. And then so that moves on, and then she puts on something else, and then both my sister and I were like, oh no, that one. It's no, don't do it. It doesn't work. And she was like, what? Oh, are you talking to me? This is what I came with. And I'm not joking, we haven't been back since. That was like the last time we went to a clothing swap.
Talk about a prompter. That was great. Everyone, that was Sandra? Hillary. What?
Stage name is Sandra.
Hillary, I'm sorry. The cold air just hit me. I saw other people doing this. Oh, I gotta get those. Jake, we need a sandwich board or something.
Yeah, right?
And I was like,
Get on the mic. Go ahead.
because I'm sitting there going,
We're going to convince Mark now.
Yeah, he's gonna go.
Mark! Yay! Come up and
Just go test the
expose yourselves and your anxiety like the rest of us. And it'll... Yay! You're doing it! Mark and Hillary. Oh, he's rolling up his sleeves, everyone. He's got something good. Here you go. Everyone, Mark!
Okay, so first I'll comment about the brightness of the lights, because that's what everyone does. It's super brief, but just, I'm an elementary teacher, and just a quick anecdote to talk about kind of the innocence of children. We were on a field trip to Toronto Island, and on Toronto Island there's the new beach that's on like one section of the island, and this was I think it was in February, so there was no one on the nude beach, but we brought our class on the beach, and we were just kind of playing by the water and playing in the sand, and as we're doing that, I noticed that there was a needle. So I kind of looked around, and I found kind of off to the side a laundry detergent container. And so I scooped up the needle, and as we were walking off the beach, one of the kindergarten kids was asking me like, hey, like, how come you're holding that big laundry detergent bottle? And I was like, oh, there was a needle on the beach. And this little child, Daria, kind of thought for a second, and she was like, oh, somebody must have been sewing on the beach. And I just thought that was, yeah, like, somebody wasn't doing drugs or whatever. Yeah, they were sewing on the beach. Anyway, so that is just an anecdote about how it's nice to just kind of think of the positive. That's all I got.
Mark, everyone.
I need to speak different stage name. Ted.
Ted and Sandra.
See, impromptu closing act. That's what Mark was. And Hillary, thank you for participating. Mark, thank you. Just coming off the street, I'm sure this will be a great story to tell your friends, family.
Come back here and tell it here again.
Would anyone else like to share something? Another shot at it before we wrap up?
What's the background of this space? What's the kind of the genesis story?
Oh, well, it's kind of my idea.
Okay.
Actually, I lived in Toronto. Well, I grew up in Hamilton, and then when I went to university, I moved to Toronto.
Jake, come up and share it on stage.
Let's hear the...
Kind of a bird story.
Yes.
Yeah. David. So I grew up in Hamilton. Kind of immigrant kid. Moved here in the '70s, and when I went to university, I moved to Toronto, and then I did a whole bunch of things. I started some businesses. I made some films. I wrote some stuff. I make music. Got into psychedelics, as I mentioned. And then, I used to have this place in Toronto in the Junction, which Dexter mentioned. We used to have kind of a Sunday salons there where people would come and basically talk and sometimes do psychedelics at the same time. And that place kind of became a performance space as well. We had music played there. We had basically the underground house music scene was there all the time. We had DJ marathons there. We had group muse type things where we had cello players, etc. A lot went on there. We even taped I guess it was kind of like a talk show. I also recorded my podcast there. And by the way, we don't mention this enough. The podcast is a talking art, and we hope to have more podcasts out of this space as well. So long and short of it is, I had a baby and we moved to the suburb. We moved back to Ancaster, near my family, and I can't really do that in my living room anymore. Where I live. So also I kind of have a real estate bug, and this space came up, and I thought, wow, why don't I just do something like that here? But even before we did that, the idea was to do something like this in Toronto, but then, the baby and COVID and everything else, moved to Ancaster. Let's do it here. And the Center for Talking Arts was kind of an idea I had maybe 6 years ago, but really only in this past year has it actually been able to happen, given my life circumstances that presently allow it. But it's like I said, I love to talk. I love to hear people talk. It's true, and we have a place where hopefully we can do that. And it's kind of like my living room, a proxy for that, and a place to hang out and chat. So that's the bird story there. Thank you for coming. How come? What brings you here? Like, how do you end up here?
We just wanted to get away from our kids.
I know the feeling.
It's like,
how old are they?
They're 10 and 12. They're so demanding now. They're like moving into the new kind of demanding phase. But but we were on just an escape.
And so did you come specifically? Do you have dinner around here? Did you hang out?
We're staying over there.
Oh, okay. So like an overnight thing. That's
right?
great. Even better.
Well, you're not away from your kids unless you're away.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then we finished the Leaf game up here at Oz.
Oh yeah, right.
And then we were just walking back, and we were like, "What's going on?"
Wow, the Hamilton experience. Wow.
What part of Toronto do you live in?
Bloordale, like Ossington and Bloor, down in Bloor.
Cool.
Blonde McQuaid is near there.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the Arkells?
Yeah, they own Oz, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did they? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they own.
Oh, that's cool.
Is it the lead singer that owns it, or all of them, or?
I believe it's all of them.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, but yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
My nephew goes to
map.
And your niece.
And niece, yes. And apparently they have like their Juno back there or something like at the restaurant or bar. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Right on,
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, we've had fewer people than last week, but it's been an amazing night. Thank you so much. I just want to give one last opportunity. Anybody who wants to come up one more time? Anyone?
What stories did we miss? We had the end of like you can't rehash it all. I guess.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, they can just chat about it.
Yeah, well, we had a couple of young people that had to go because they have to be home by 10 o'clock or 10:30. So, yeah, like this 18-year-old kid, that's really great. I think you can tell they start young. You can do great things. Yeah. Awesome.
I think it's better to have a parental curfew than a police curfew.
Right.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, it's better.
Yeah.
I'll share a story.
Okay, sure. Dexter. Here you go, buddy.
Thank you. So, everyone, on the topic of psychedelics and being from Toronto, I enjoy taking mushrooms at Center Island. And when I used to get really depressed, I'd go there. And the first time I tried shrooms, well, not the first time there I tried shrooms, I sat under a tree. And a lot of magical things happened. And I think it's because of the power of trees. We know that trees are connected to the ground, the roots, they act like antennae and speak to each other. And I didn't realize that till after. This isn't comedy, it may be funny, but it's simply just a story. So I sat there under this tree and I'm tripping on shrooms, and we know the phases of shrooms. At first my stomach started aching, and then I didn't want to be on the island anymore. So I decided I'm going to go on the ferry back home. I get on, I had my bike on me, and no one was on the ferry. It was a beautiful sunny day, heading back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm walking on the main level to the front, and I sat down. I'm feeling that lethargic stage of, is this gut rot gonna kill me? And I'm sitting there holding my bike. No one's there. Until this elderly woman comes out of nowhere. And she just runs up to me, sits in front of me, across from me, as I'm holding my bike. And she's fanning herself. She goes, "Hi, how are you?" I only wanted to be alone. I just said, "Fine," in an irritable sense. And then she starts telling me about her heart condition and her history, her family history of problems with their hearts. And I was wondering, why are you telling me this? All of a sudden, I hear this sharp ringing in my ear with my eyes closed. I'm holding my bike with my right hand. No, with my left hand, I'm holding my bike. And in my right hand, it was like kind of just resting on the seat. And I hear a sharp ringing, and my closed eyes suddenly go bright with light. And I can feel this thing in my skull. And it felt like a minute. When it faded away, I opened my eyes, and the woman there, she was cool and calm, and she was just looking at the ground with this little quaint smile. She wasn't anxious anymore. And I found that odd. And the ferry landed. The next stage was I'm getting off the ferry, and all these families were on the top deck. They were getting off too. And now I'm in this crowd, walking my bike, and for some reason, this Indian family started gathering around me. They had these umbrellas, parasols, and they were dressed in the traditional Indian garb, and they were giving me the sideways glance as I'm walking my bike. There's kids here, and then there's two uncles in front of me, and I can see that I guess they were aunts in the back. And I'm going, why am I walking in the middle of this family, in this crowd? What's going on here? And in the distance, I hear drumming from a busker or something. And it was that Indian drumming. And it was like I was in the parade. It felt oddly strange that they were encircling me in no sense. Until I got to a certain point and I pushed myself out. I'm like, okay, that was strange. That felt like India. I got on my bike and I'm thinking, okay, this is over. Then the happy trip starts kicking in. I get the giggles and I'm enjoying my bike ride. You guys ever try shrooms and bike riding? It's fantastic. And I'm heading westbound. The Indy is going on. Princess Gates. And I stand there. Lights, all the fencing, there's tape on the ground telling you where to walk as a pedestrian, where to bike. You can hear the cars racing on one side. By Princess Gates, there's a whole whack of people just waiting to get in. And then traffic, and then traffic cops. And now I'm laughing my head off, looking at the cop. And I say to him across the street, hey, is it safe to cross? Because it was just so redundant, everything. And he's looking at me dumbfounded, like, yeah, just cross. So I get on my bike, not caring how stupid I may look. And as I'm standing, kind of just freewheeling it across the street, and then I notice that this crowd of people is looking up at me. And then I turn to the right, and the row of traffic, people in their cars, they're looking at me. And I'm going, what the heck is going on here? I look straight ahead, and there's nobody. There's just cars, people in their cars, there's fence, people there, and I'm on my bike like this, and at the next street, people are slowly coming by, but for a good 100 feet, I'm going, what the fuck? And momentarily, people look at me and they're saying the exact same thing, what the fuck is going on here? I was alone in my own little parade. And then it ended. And that is my super shroom trippy story. Thank you. Of my life. How was it? Can I close off the night, or would that inspire anyone to share their psychedelic experience or something similar? Shall I close off the night, Jay?
Close it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for attending this Every Talking Arts. So I have a background in coaching. And I'd like to say to everyone here, if you're going to return, please have something to repeat.
Okay.
As a bit. Like, Gabby, we've heard your stuff. It was funny. You said it twice. Try it one time, the one bit that you have, again, but change it up. Yeah. Right? Something that you can practice on to repeat, and then add something new. Maybe might tell your story again, and then tell another story.
That's a good idea.
Yeah?
All right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Get some food and drink if anyone's interested.
Yes. Again, the food is on the house. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Pizza, mother's homemade baklava, and some your students.